So I went to Lowe's today on the Suron, and this is all I was able to find. This guy. So this is a 1.5 inch sink tail piece. So this is the part that is kind of like the drain pipe for your sink. 1.5 inch. Yeah, 1.5 inch is about what they all use. So it was actually quite easy to find. Looks like a piece of a vacuum cleaner actually. I don't know what it's made out of. I think it's made out of ABS plastic or something. It's not super duper thick, but I think it'll be fine. We don't really need a big section of it. Should be okay. Yeah, so that is the pipe that's going to fit into here. So we'll see. Yeah, it fits into there. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay. Yep, perfect. So that was $250, and it was $272 after taxes. So. Okay, Hazelmaker here. Another day working on the KLX. So, KLX KX65 Carb project. So the deal is we got to get this guy to mate up with this. So if you remember correctly, in the earlier video, we needed to make this longer, basically. And what we had to do. So what we're gonna have to do is open this up a little bit with the Dremel. With the grinder, because it's a little bit too small. You can get this on here on the throat, but it's a little hard to get it in there, so we're going to open it up just a tad. I already started opening up the other one, if you remember correctly. I just kind of grinded the little hump down, but I'm going to grind that one a little bit more so it comes in a little bit easier, and then we'll see if we can still use these clamps. But basically, so what we got to do now is extend this guy, and that's why we bought this. So if you remember from the last video, this is a 6-inch tailpiece is what it's called on the label here. And I got this at Lowe's for about $2.50. Piece of plastic pipe, basically. It's a sink drain pipe is what it is. But it's 1.5 inches exactly, so I know it fits in there perfectly. Almost. It takes a little persuasion, but it goes in there. So yeah. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. I'm going to cut it like right around here in the middle ish. Maybe just right around here where this rib is. Oh yeah, we got to put a clamp on it too, huh? Maybe a little bit in front. I know it's either you're going to cut it here or here. I'm thinking I can cut it right here. We'll cut it right here. So I'm going to cut it right here. So this is the point of no return. Now you could probably just make it. You could probably smash it back. Use this to mend it and put it back to the stock size if you still wanted to put the stock car back on. So, but it's kind of annoying. It's probably better just to buy a new intake hose. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it right around here, almost the halfway part. There's like 3 ribs here, and we're going to cut it a little bit. We're going to cut it between the first and second rib, basically. That way this little thing doesn't get in the way. But we can grind it down too. So, all right. So, have at it. I'm just going to get my my Dremel tool and just cut it. All right, here's my gear. So I got it. I cut it between the first and second rib, like I mentioned. I didn't cut it quite straight. I noticed it was a little crooked when I first started cutting it, and I moved it a little bit, but it's not bad. I had just grind down this rough part here, the parts that are sticking out a little bit. I also noticed to get the clamps on there, we're going to have to start grinding some of these ribs here. Yeah, so the next step is to grind the ribs off of this so we can get clamps around here, because it's not going to clamp over these. It's going to be harder to clamp with these ribs on here. So I think they just put these ribs on here to make the hose so it won't cavitate or anything. I don't think it would anyway. So but yeah, it's whatever. so yeah, so the next step is we're gonna grind all these ribs off, and then we're just gonna use the Dremel tool. Use this bit and just grind it off so it's flush, and then we'll clean it up. I'll smoothen out these cuts a little bit here. I use a good old hand saw to cut it. So once you get past break the first part through the first part, it cuts through like butter. So all right, next step. Okay, we're back. So there we go. So basically I grinded all the ribs off using this guy. Not too hard. It took me like 5 minutes or something. I don't think we're gonna mess around with this. I think it's fine. I'll just leave it how it is. Maybe I'll smoothen it out a little bit. Maybe like right here. It's a little rough feeling. It's probably where we first cut it or something. Smoothing it out a bit. Okay. That's okay. Okay. So there it is. So I wound up grinding. There's a little mold line here too. I grounded that flush also. So, all right, that's that side. So now we just got to do the other side. So basically, I'll just hold it like this, and I'll just let it go to town on that. I guess you could do it this way too, but I just did it this way. All right. So okay, so there's the finished product. So this one has a little more meat for the clamp to grab onto than this here. You know, if anything, I should have left one of the ribs. I should have cut, like, I don't think it matters, honestly. But yeah, if you had one of these ribs out here, it would keep the clamp from popping out. Now, there's not much meat for this to grab onto. This one has plenty right here. So we just gotta make sure the clamp stays in here. We need a really thin clamp. We gotta find this one. We could probably use a pretty big one. That's why I said to cut it like straight down the middle, but didn't quite get it. So anyway, so there it is. That's the finished product. I cleaned it. I blew some air through it, and it's pretty clean now. So now the next part is to actually extend it. So we're gonna put this pipe in here. Should fit in there quite well. There we go. And then we got to figure out how much of this pipe to cut, so we can get this on the carb properly. So, yeah. So what we're gonna do is mount the carb. I guess we're gonna mount the carb onto the head through the intake manifold, and then we'll see how much meat we need for it to catch up to. Actually, well, the next step is to open this up a little bit. I'm just gonna grind this a little bit with the Dremel, and then open it up a tiny bit. I don't know if I did already. I don't think so. But yeah, we're gonna open this up a little bit so it goes into the carb better, easier. And then this is the part that goes into the carb. This is the one that goes in the airbox, and basically it's gonna be something like that. You're gonna have this little section, this plastic section, right here in between these two. And it'll still flex a little bit. It's still rubbery, so it should have some flex left. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna open this up, and then we're gonna mount the carb. We're gonna mount this part onto the carb, and mount the carb onto the intake, and then see how much of this pipe we gotta cut, so it mates up with this. And then we probably want this to come in. Yeah, we want it to come in past here, at least past the rib a little bit. And then we'll put a clamp around there, and we'll put a clamp around here. Or maybe we'll go halfway into here. So that's where it is right now, actually, yeah. So right where it's at right now is where we want it. I think, yeah, that'd be good. And we'll just put a clamp around here, clamp around here. If I can, hopefully I can find a clamp. All right. I can tell you this, the smell of rubber is making me nauseous. I'm smelling burning rubber. Good rubber to use on this. Sure, dude. That Thailand rubber. Okay, he's right here. So I went and worked that the part that connects to the throat right there. Yeah, I probably worked on it for about 5 minutes. So let's go. I've been trying it. I'm gonna show you what I got. I think this is it. Well, my grinder ran out of power, so I figured. And I don't even remember what position it was in. This is a little bit bent, a little bit. So we're gonna have to figure out what the best position is to put it in there. But we got some room for adjustment. We can rotate it. So basically, this is gonna go like that. It's a pretty tight fit. You still have to like kind of open it up a little bit, but it'll go on there. gonna be a pain in the ass. It's easier if you stick your finger in there, but that's like cheating a little bit, you know? You have to be able to do it without that, right? It's still pretty tight, but I can get it in there. Sort of, kind of. To really stretch this sucker out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it slips in pretty good. Hopefully it doesn't slip out very good. Just stick that all the way in there, and then we're going to put a clamp around here. And it should be good to go. Very thin clamp too. Where's the clamp for this? That's a good question. It's supposed to have one. Okay, so I don't know if this clamp is going to work on this anymore. So I think it goes this way. I don't quite remember how we do. We may be able to get by with getting a longer screw for this. Oh shit. Okay, well the clamp just came apart, so. But yeah, maybe we can get by with getting a longer screw. Just a tad bit longer. I think we got it. Let me see. Where's my screwdriver? I think it fits. Let's see. So you can see this is angled downward a little bit, so we have to make sure we have it in the right orientation. Just barely, but yeah, there we go. Haha, money! It's not going anywhere, man. Yeah, that's on there, man. That ain't going anywhere. So there it is. I got it. It's work in progress. Okay, so what we'll probably do next is grind this one a little bit more. If you remember correctly, we grinded it, but we didn't grind it. So the next step is to open this up just a little bit more, just so that one goes in there more easily, and then that'll be it for modifying the throat. Like I said, we went through all the dimensions between the two carbs. This one's a little bit more millimeters, like 5 millimeters bigger than the other one. So we really gotta open this stuff up. It fits, but it's like super tight. So we want to open it up just a little bit. Take some of that rubber out so it slips in a little easier, because it'll make it easier to install for sure. so next step. So I feel that this one is good. It's still a little tight, but that's fine. It's good to have it a little bit tight. Now I'm gonna. So I already grinded this one like halfway. I'll probably work this one for a little bit more, but I gotta go to work today, so I will pick this up later. And we're almost done. Pretty much all we gotta do is we gotta find out how long the length we need to stick in here, and then pretty much just install it after that, and then and put the bike back together, and then figure out how we're gonna work the fuel line. So all the throttle stuff we figured that out last time. So now we gotta get all the intake track stuff in there, and I do need to clean my air filter too. Probably do that tomorrow. All right, so that's it for today. Next clip we'll finish working on this guy, and then stick that in, and then we'll work on getting the extension pipe on that. All right, here's me out. So far so good. Now we're past the point of no return. We cut this already, but we can always stick the pipe. We can always make it shorter. So it's actually not a big deal. You can probably put it, but I would have rather just bought another pipe just in case we were going to go back to the stock configuration, but hopefully we won't have to. All right, here's me out. Okay, here's me here. We're going to go back today, and what we got to do is we got to grind this open a little bit. All right, so I'm just going to go hit that with the grinder. Okay, so there it is. So there it is. See my handiwork there. So what I did is I grinded like the very edge of the lip. I widened it a lot, and then I grinded the step down. I might have grinded the step a little too much. So now it's just like kind of like it has a wider part here, and then it starts to neck down here. So like that little bump is like gone now. But I could probably put it back again if I get something and grind the back part of it. But I think it's okay. Let's try to put it on. I think this will work. Okay, the first part fits pretty easily. It's still pretty hard to get in there, but you can get it in there. And I'm going to clock it. This little there's a little positioning thing here that was on the stock carb. We just want to make sure that's at 12 o'clock. And that should do it, I think. Let's see if the clamp will go back on too. Okay. Clock it. Okay. Clamp is in there. Clamp fits. Give it a screwdriver. Plenty of adjustment still. This will not go anywhere with the clamp. Alrighty, yeah, looks good. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna bolt the intake manifold to the head with the carb on it. Okay, so before I clean the intake intake a little bit, the intake track. There's a little bit of dirt in there. I don't know how it gets in there, but yeah. So I got this. I scrubbed it. We're gonna take some of the dirt off. I already got most of it out. I'm just gonna scrub it and then use my finger to dig it out, and probably I'll just blow it out with the air gun after get the little dust particles. Well, already there, might as well clean it up, right? All right. Okay, there it is. It's in there. Well, at least it's bolted to the head now. So now what we gotta do is we gotta get that extension the right length and then cut it. Now we're pretty much done. Then we have to find some clamps. But yeah, we have to get this part on still. Look at the other piece. Okay, so here's the other piece. So this is gonna go inside the airbox and then connect to there. Now we have to make up that extra space right there. So I'm gonna mount this in there, and then we'll see how much we have to cut. Okay, there it is. It's all in there now. I routed the vent lines down there. So this is the difference that we have to make up. It's quite a bit actually. It's about like more than an inch, like an inch and a half. We still have to make up. So maybe get that piece of pipe. Here's the pipe, sink pipe, and then we just gotta we'll just kind of just eyeball it. We probably want it to extend past this rib here, and probably to this rib right here. Yeah, probably want to have it past the rib a little bit, because this is where our clamps are going to be. I don't think it's pretty tight fit. We don't really need a clamp, but it you never know. It may pop out or something. You wouldn't want that thing to pop out while you're riding. It probably goes on like crap. So. But yeah, so I'm just gonna measure off a section like from here, a little bit past this, and a little bit past the rib right here, and then we cut it. We'll cut this, and then we'll just shove it in there, and stick some clamps on it, and then that's how we'll get it to work. So, I mean, as it stands right now, we could probably run it like this, but we won't have a filter. So, yeah. So let's hop to it. Okay, so I kind of just eyeballed it a little bit, so we want it to be kind of like that and stick out there a little bit. So I think we're just going to cut this in half. That's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it in half. It looks like half will do the trick. So I'm going to go ahead and saw that in half, and then we're going to try to shove it in there. All right. Okay, there it is. I just cut it with the Sawzall. Oh, dadgummit, there's like a little... I didn't quite cut it where I started. So I started with the saw, and then I kind of messed up a little bit. I can probably just grind that a little bit to get that little... There's a little part here that I started sawing that I didn't quite aim right. Oh, okay, so there's the completed product. So basically we cut the pipe in half. This other part, if I wanted to make another piece, I probably could. This one's a little bit shorter. And this one has a little lip on it. So what I did was I ran the grinder on it a little bit to make sure it's straight, and then I just ran my fingernail across it like this to get all this kind of little burrs off and little dingleberries hanging off. And then what I did was there was some kind of molding stuff here. I guess maybe when they make these, they're like in a mold and they cut it off a tree. There's a little thing sticking out here that was sharp, so I grinded that down just a tiny bit. I probably could have done a better job. I probably should have just used a file, you know, and it would have turned out better. But this should be fine. The part that's really important is the inside, because that's where the air is going to travel through. All right, so that's done. So let's see how long it is. It's roughly 3 inches, so yeah, like I said, half. If this was a 6-inch piece, it's a little bit more than 3 inches. We can cut it down a little more if we need to, but hopefully that'll do the trick. So Hades and Mega use a 3-inch piece of pipe to extend the intake track. So I'm gonna go see if I can get this in there, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, I can already tell you this is gonna be a pain in the ass to install. It fits in there like so perfect. I don't know if we're gonna have to figure out how to install the carb. We might have to take the carb out, put it in, or put this on first and then put the carb in. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, so that's pretty much the finished product right there. So we just have to add clamps here. Maybe might have to grind these ribs off so we can get a clamp on this one. There's not much meat for a clamp to grab onto there. But yeah, it goes in about here, and then this one ends like right here. So plenty of meat on both sides, plenty of meat, and I could still push it in on both sides if I wanted to. So all right, so I'll get it in there. We'll see. So also I figured out there's another way you can. I was kind of not sure how this was going to line up before, but there's mold lines here, and then the ribs, you can use those to line up this pipe. That way you know it's oriented properly. So there's a mold line here. You can actually put it backwards. The ribs here will line up, but the mold lines will not. So that's how you can make sure that you got it right. So there's a mold line coming down one side, and then the ribs, and then it's that way all the way around. That's how I know it's the way it was before, because this has a little bit of like a bend to it. Okay, so before I put it on, I'm going to add some clamps to it. So these are the clamps that I'm using. They're like radiator clamps, basically. Like the clamps that you use to attach your radiator hoses. I'm just going to put them on there kind of loosely. And then when we get it on there and the right length, we'll lock it in. We'll put it here. This one will stick out a little bit. Yeah, should be okay. I don't think it has to be super duper tight. So I do have a thin one here that I could probably cut down the size. Maybe. We'll see. It's pretty big though. So I gotta go find some thinner clamps. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, there it is. I got it in there. Let me get some light for you. That's what we're working with there. So it was kind of a bitch to get it in. So what had to happen was I had to take the carb out, and then I had to stick this part into the airbox and line it up. And then it's a little bit, it kind of does this thing. It kind of goes up. It's kind of like a little bit of an angle. It goes this way and then that way a little bit. So you can see that the pipe is not even. It's like diagonal now. So but that's in there, and we had to flare that out quite a bit. I feel that we should probably, I know, look at that. I feel that we should probably grind that some more. If I do get this back, I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now. We'll see how it is. But I took the clamps off. I'm going to put the clamps on now after. But that's it. That's pretty much it. The carb clamp is right here. Got to try to get that up over there. And it looks like it's moving away from the top, so I have to try to. So basically, what I had to do is put the big pipe in first inside the airbox, because it's kind of hard to get in, and then stick it into the intake manifold just a little bit, and then try to work this. The hardest part is working this part onto the throat. Like I said, I think I should, if I get this out again later, I might grind it to make it wider so it'll go in a little easier. It was a really big pain in the ass to get it in. So once you kind of got it over, then you can start shifting it. You can, what I did is I stood on this side of the bike, and then I kind of pulled it. I pulled it this way. I pulled it like this, sort of. There's not a lot of room to work with because the shock is in there. I guess if you could take the shock off, it'll be easier to work with. But yeah, I kind of stood on this side of the bike and I pulled it that way until it got there. And then I lined this one up, and then yeah, so that's it. It's in there. So I'm gonna go clamp everything up, and then I guess that's it for tonight. Then the last thing we have to do is figure out what we're gonna do with the fuel line. I'm probably just gonna add a new fuel line to it. Okay, ta-da! There it is. All right, there it is. Nice. So there we go. I got the 2 clamps in there to hold it together. This one's kind of holding it on halfway, but that's okay as long as it's holding on a little bit. There is still a little bit of flex, so that's good. You want it to flex a little bit. Doesn't look like it's gonna come out. It's on there, dude. The clamps, both of these clamps fit fine. This is orientated to the top here, like it was before. This still moves around a little bit. It's good. Yeah, because I think this is gonna kind of pulls it a little bit. All right, so that's it. So it's a little. Look at our handiwork there. Everything is all tightened and ready to go. So the throttle doesn't return. That's one thing that kind of bothers me. You're just gonna have to help it return a little bit, you know. Yeah. But it's not like it's gonna get stuck. I mean, it does get stuck, but you can force it closed. It'll be fine. And I think maybe it's because we need a stronger slide spring. The spring is kind of weak on this. It's weaker than the stock dealie. But there it is. That's bolted on there. This is lined up to the top here. This is bolted on the here. Looks like it's in there fine. I'm pretty sure it's not going anywhere. It's on there. It's not interfering with anything. Yeah, there's a good clearance between everything, the starter and the exhaust pipe. It does look like it's a little bit canted a little bit, but that's how the stock one was. And then yeah, so I said the hardest part was getting this over here, and then pulling this part of the boot this way to get it up all the way, and then we had to just clamp it. We just clamped it here. So like I said, the way we got it on was we took the carb off, we put the long pipe inside the airbox, and then and also there's a pin here that helps you line it up properly. There's a little hole here on the side of there's a hole there on the side of the pipe. So there's a pin right here, and you just line it up with that. That's how you know it's the right orientation. And it kind of goes up a little bit, and then down, and then straight, and then angles straight a little bit, down a little bit actually, and then yeah, and then we just have to pull, and then we just put the carb into the intake manifold, and then this was kind of like this way a little bit, so there's kind of a procedure to do it. Now, hopefully it'll be, if I have to ever take it off again, like, it'll be fine. But and then we just pulled this part of the boot that away till it got all the way in, all the way, and then we clamped it, and we put 2 clamps here, and that should be good to go. So yeah, we're ready, man. It's prime time. So so the next thing is to figure out what we're going to do with the fuel line.